Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Steve Duvall, and this is live video from the Sedona International Film Festival in Sedona, Arizona. Welcome. And welcome, Eric Mercola. I want to call you Brzezinski from the movie Brzezinski, actually. So, Eric, goodness, it's been 3 years since you were here with version or film number 1 from Brzezinski, and this is the sequel?
That's correct.
Tell me about it.
Well, the first one was more of a historical, biographical sort of expose on this doctor and biochemist's life and discovering this effective treatment for cancer and how he fought the industry to be allowed to go through the testing process like anyone else would. And as the film was really successful, I mean, as far as I'm concerned. And as you can imagine, when you have something like this is out there in the world and you have people with cancer and know people with cancer, my inbox was filled with people asking me questions. So I said, this is really interesting. Since the first movie was, again, covered like 30 years, I wanted to do a modern story, so where I could like follow patients and just roll the dice and see how this goes. So I just said to anybody that was interested, I said, you know, it's not my place to tell you what to do. I can give you medical advice, but if you decide to go this route, I'd love to stay in touch and follow you, and that's exactly what I did. So I had a handful of patients that I followed. Half of them are cancer-free today, right in front of my eyes. The other half didn't make it, but all of them were people with extremely difficult to treat brain cancers that weren't supposed to live anyway. So anyway, that was pretty exciting, but I also gave the audience an update because this is a story that's constantly unfolding. Even after I was done with this, more things have occurred. So you can theoretically keep making them if you wanted to, but I think at the moment, I think I'm going to take a break for a little bit on the Brzezinski story. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just a very modern. Everybody's interested in knowing what's the status. They see the first one, they get very hopeful that this might actually make it to the market and be in an oncologist's offices to be as an option. And then, incredibly, when I was finishing the editing for the sequel, it was back about a year ago today, the FDA came in again and unannounced, like they did in the 90s, and they yanked it from them without any real excuse or reason why. So it's a whole long, convoluted story, but so it was kind of a bizarre kind of ending, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's all over, if this is going to be buried forever by the industry, or if it will survive. It's hard to say. Like if something major happens, like it survives, or that would be cause for make a new film, I think. But it's a really, as you can imagine, a very convoluted story on so many levels. You try to explain it to people, like, what do you mean there's a possible cure for cancer that's being buried? Half of the public doesn't believe that to be remotely possible, and but the facts show that it's happening right in front of our eyes. So it's more than just Brzezinski. It's sort of showing you a society that we're living in that is continuing to get worse and worse every day. I'm not attacking capitalism per se. I don't support socialism or communism, but the root cause of all of this is, from where I'm sitting after living this for 6 years, is that we're living in a system that rewards this behavior. If you're being rewarded for squashing a cancer therapy so your company can make another $6 billion, that's not a cool situation to be in. There's a lot of activist films here, and the last person you interviewed was talking about the environment. It's like, well, the reason rainforests are being destroyed because you can make a fortune off of doing so, and there's no one's held accountable, and everybody's rewarded for doing so. So it's the idea that sort of a cancer in our society, and the sort of metaphorical cancer, like working in parallel with this project, it's pretty eye-opening for me because I went into it pretty naive and really, and then to get to the point where I really got to know it. I had everybody from President Obama's chief of staff seen my film, said it's just too big. Maybe in 10 years we can face it. We even alluded that it would hurt our economy if we unleash this thing. And yeah, I mean, I've had every major celebrity you can imagine, from Dr. Oz to Fabio to Oprah. Everybody tried to get this, farther audience, and it's just, they get the heck scared out of them for even doing so. It's a very, very powerful industry run by essentially what is a cartel, like anything else. And now the Food and Drug Administration has been completely purchased by the industry. Back in the 90s, Congress let that happen. And it's just an extra wing. And I don't know. I went from hopeful to this eye-opening realization that where we're at,
Well,
so
you're poking your finger at the giant,
Yeah, yeah.
And you've tackled a big tiger.
Yeah.
So, and you've also spawned a movement that I think has spread over into other areas as to who's really running our medical world. And is there any money in health? Well, no. There's money in sickness, so why wouldn't we have any incentive cancer treatment is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
It is.
So.
I interviewed a pharmaceutical scientist for the new film, and the only reason he agreed was because he got fed up of being a scientist in the pharmaceutical industry, because at the end of every quarter, they would put together all what they've been working on, and then the bean counters would come in and only pick the things that have the longest patent lives and can make the most profit. It was irrelevant what the drug did or how efficacious it was, irrelevant. Anyway, he just said, I mean, you got to think about it. He says, step back and take a look at it. If you found the cure for cancer, you're out of business as well. All that money from all that goes to all the institutions that's being, where the NIH matches the funding, all of that goes away. And even if you do have yes, say Pfizer puts it on the market, but after 10 years, the patent goes away. It becomes generic like the antibiotic. The government has to beat the bushes to get antibiotics made anymore because there's no money in them. And so the heyday is over. It's great for people if it was released, but it's over. And it's just, you've built this monster that it's too big to be taken down. And so maybe one day, with enough of a political power struggle on some level, like what we saw with the Occupy movement, where the whole world is like in front of every possible medical establishment. Kind of like what the AIDS patients did. They were running around throwing blood on people. They were fed up. But we're coming in a world like people are becoming more and more complacent, I've found, and it's hard to win a battle like this. Everybody wants to have a leader. People have trouble acting on their own accord, and it's tough. And the more successful you are, the more they fight back, and they're very powerful. And I went from having a pretty clean slate until it got really popular, and I'm being attacked and ridiculed. I'm being audited by the IRS right now. I mean, you can imagine, it's insane. And but it's what I love to do. I mean, I'm so happy to be doing what I'm doing anyway, and I'm going to continue making documentary films as well. Maybe not necessarily on this subject, but Sedona has been awesome. I came here and it just exploded. Unlike any other film festival I've ever had. And I showed the sequel here twice already, and almost everybody in attendance were here 3 years ago and seen it. And that was really heartwarming to know that people that dedicated and remember it, and it meant a lot to them. So,
well, you are the leader.
Yeah,
I said someone, but no, I think, Dad, you're it.
Yeah, apparently. I'm trying my best, Yeah.
Well, I applaud the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And you work with your wife in this, too?
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of like a husband and wife team by default, we get along great, and she's basically my producer. She knows how to run the cameras, and she does all the organization, and keeps my life schedule on track.
Keeps you in line.
Yes, that too.
Yeah. It's extraordinary work that you do. I mean, to run up against the medical cartel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about some of the biggest players in the planet.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So, do you have any plans to expand this a little bit more? Or where do you headed from here?
You know what? Yeah, I hope to have this new film I just finished into this festival next year. I'm really hoping it'll be accepted. It's a kind of personal to me. It's a whistleblower story. It takes place in the 70s, and the story itself is what got me into this to begin with. I won't give you the whole thing, but War on Cancer was enacted in the 1970s. He worked at Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York. It was the biggest cancer center at the time. They were, of course, testing all kinds of things, including the so-called quack therapies that people are going to Tijuana to get. There's one particular therapy that they tested. They tested it for 5 years, and it consistently tested through the roof, stopping metastasis in almost every single model, and prevented it. But it's sort of like marijuana, where anybody can access it, grow it, purify it. Any doctor could make it in the back of his office. And so the heads of Sloan Kettering were very excited, and they went down to D.C. I got all the internal documents to prove all of this, as well as in the film. We got it from Freedom of Information. And they were like, this is testing through the roof, what do we do? They asked the FDA and the NCI, and long story short, they said, well, you're going to have to bury it. And this guy who wrote the book, who was involved in this, he was their public relations guy. And he was asked to lie about something he knew was a lie. And so he kind of went behind and was leaking the documents to the press, even though the press just blew it off, and it was before the internet, and tried to live this double life, working for the cancer center while trying to leak it. And it finally came to a head where he just like, I've got to let myself be known that that I'm the one that's been trying to burn this down. Anyway, but he wrote a book after he was fired. called The Cancer Industry. And I read that book 7 or 8 years ago when I was living in New York. And that's what got me into this whole thing. And he had a chapter on Brzezinski. And this book was published in 1980. And Brzezinski was just getting started. So he sort of dabbled. He said, if this could happen in front of me, surely it's happened in other places. So anyway, it's his story that happened at Sloan Kettering. It's just like the story of what happens to a whistleblower. He's a guy with 2 kids. He's got a great job he loves. And he's battled to face, follow his conscience or keep his job. And he decided to follow his conscience. So it's not an advocacy film where I advocate, people should get this therapy, anything of the sort. It's just, it's like the very beginning of, and then how nothing has changed, everything has gotten worse per se. So it's called Second Opinion, and I hope to see it here next year. So.
Well, I really applaud what you're doing, and you're really setting the example for a lot of different areas, not just medical. But people are questioning everything. Banking, people are going, everything that we've been told, everything that we've been taught, everything that we've been working with is a lie.
The good news is that people, it's like 10 years ago, you would be, made fun of for saying the banks were this or banks were that. And now it's commonplace to know that how corrupt they are, And it's that's the good news is that, but especially with the advent of the internet, which they're going to try to yank from us as fast as they can. Free-flowing, unregulated information is not
things
what
like
they want.
We're doing right now.
Right, yeah. No, but yeah, there's no question that I've seen the good side of it all is that people are really truly becoming more enlightened, and there's like I think a genuine revolution of our consciousness needs to occur. There's a whole new way of looking at our world and each other, and not this kind of, fighting over everything and realizing we're all the same atoms of everything on this planet. And if we could just learn to accept that instead of trying to divide ourselves from that, the world would be a lot easier place to live in, But
what I'm seeing is this film festival in particular, people are expressing their own ideas about how to expand consciousness, whether it's through your work or through the lady who was just here about building a green home. But filmmaking is now within the hands of nearly everyone. You got a camera, you got a computer, you can make a movie.
Yep.
And everybody's expressing themselves to how we can make the world better. And I think that's the underlying theme that we're finding in the film festival circuit.
I agree. I think it's almost like the documentaries especially, it's almost become a new form of genuine mainstream news per se, because the news is now so just watered down and just there for the ratings, and then of all these independent so-called journalists like myself that are telling the real stories that are out there. And again, with the internet, it's exciting. It's really exciting to see this. Even since I've been here, it's like exploded tenfold, since the 3 years I've been here.
I really appreciate what you've done in the 3 years since I've seen you. I'm on your email list, so I get you regular updates, regular notices whenever there's a court case, whether it's good or bad. It goes out to the world, so people are following.
They are.
So we really thank you for being the leadership that you've been providing.
Thank you very much.
How are we doing on time? Were you doing okay on time there?
You're at 13 minutes.
We're about right? We're about right? Okay. That's all the time we have.
That's okay. That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Eric McCullough from the movie Brzezinski. What's your second movie name? Brzezinski 2?
Well,
I should know that.
Brzezinski is part 1 3 years ago. The one that's screening here this week is called Brzezinski Cancer is Serious Business Part 2.
Right.
And then, my third film is called Second Opinion, which is unrelated, and I hope to have it next year.
But it's got a similar theme, though.
It does.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. This is Eric McCullough with Brzezinski 2. And I don't know, you're going to send it out? You're going to make it to the movies here? No, I'm not going to make it to the movies, the big time movies. This is independent.
Well, actually, there is some Hollywood people that are trying to make a Hollywood version of this Brzezinski story. So, and I'll be a consultant of some sort on that.
They'll do that, and the medical cartel will win, right?
Who knows? I don't know. We'll see if it's even going to get made. I don't know.
Eric, thank you so much for coming by. Really appreciate that. Look forward to seeing your film while I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
See you soon.
All right.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.